Chapter 1. Sparks of Genius. The air in the garage was thick with the scent of solder and possibility. It was 1976, and the world was still waking up to the idea that computers could be personal. But in a cluttered corner of Los Altos, California, two young men were already writing the future. Steve Jobs, barefoot and intense, leaned over a circuit board, his fingers tracing the lines of a prototype. Beside him, Steve Wozniak, the quiet genius, adjusted a wire with the precision of a surgeon. They were building something revolutionary, something that would ignite a fire in Silicon Valley that would burn for decades, across the country in a different kind of garage. Another visionary was at work. Bill Gates, barely out of his teens, hunched over a desk in Albuquerque, New Mexico, scribbling lines of code onto a legal pad. His partner, Paul Allen, watched as a young prodigy translated raw ambition into something tangible. They had a deal with MITS to create a programming language for the Ultra, a clunky machine that would soon become the first personal computer. But Gates saw an industry being born, and he wanted to own it. The rivalry between Jobs and Gates didn't start with a handshake or a formal introduction. It began with a spark and unspoken challenge that crackled between them like static electricity. Jobs believed in the beauty of design, in the way technology should feel as much as it should function. Gates believed in the power of software, in the invisible code that made machines sing. They were two sides of the same coin, but they would never see eye to eye. By the early 1980s, the battle lines were drawn. Apple had just released the Macintosh, a machine so sleek and intuitive that it felt like the future had arrived. Jobs, standing on stage in a black turtleneck, unveiled it with the theatricality of a rock star. The crowd erupted. But behind the scenes, Gates was already plotting his next move. Microsoft had just signed a deal with Ebook to provide the operating system for their new personal computer. It was a risky bet. Gates insisted on retaining the rights to the software, a decision that would make him one of the richest men in the world. The clash between Apple and Microsoft wasn't just about technology. It was about philosophy. Jobs wanted to democratize creativity, to put the power of computing into the hands of artists and dreamers. Gates wanted to make computing accessible to everyone, even if it meant compromising on elegance. Their feud wasn't personal, at least not at first. But as the stakes grew higher, so did the tension. In 1985, the gloves came off. Apple was struggling, and Jobs was ousted from his own company. He walked away, vowing to return. Meanwhile, Gates was at the helm of an empire. The two men rarely spoke, but their rivalry was a silent war, fought through press releases, product launches, and the relentless march of innovation. Yet for all their differences, they shared one thing, an unshakable belief that technology could change the world. And as the 1990s dawned, that belief would be tested like never before. The stage was set for a showdown that would redefine computing forever. The next chapter would be the most intense yet. The battle for the future of technology was just beginning.